Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. We are straight into it here tonight with Tasman Racing League for round 6 at Silverstone as we go immediately down to the track with apologies to everyone for the slightly late start here this evening. We are straight into racing as we get underway with 25 laps in our feature race this evening. My name is Jared Cole. I'm in the booth with Boone Blake once again. And Boone, a bit of an unorthodox start to our coverage tonight for sure. But the driver's straight into it, no time to waste here at Silverstone, as already we've got action as we see a couple of drivers turn around. Tim Pattinson getting just a little bit caught up on this opening lap.
Looks like David Noden as well. Excuse me. Apologies for my voice tonight, everyone. I've got a bit of a sore throat. Looks like we've got a few drivers in trouble. David Noden, Tim Pattinson early on.
Yeah, not the start they would have hoped for, but, you know, 25 laps, it's a long way around Silverstone, and we've got plenty of racing action to bring you. The championship leader, Matt Webber, out in front with Chris Murray right on his tail as they come past the old pits down the national circuit straight there and make their way back towards the main body here at Silverstone. And then through some of the fastest S's you'll find anywhere on the planet. It's a beautiful track to drive, really flowing, really a rhythm track, and it's the sort of track that, you know, is one of those ones you just want to jump in the car and go for a drive. You don't necessarily have to be racing to enjoy it, but these guys are straight into it and doing exactly that. As we see the front of the field starting to just spread out a little bit as Murray struggles to stay with Webber, and then Fitzgerald and Heath behind them. Just a little bit more room than they probably had bargained for. It looks to me like Webber has just found his cold tyre pace again here at Silverstone.
That's what he'll be hoping for. Murray's been giving him a challenge in the preceding weeks, but for Matt Webber's championship hopes, it's going to be ideal for him to find some cold tire pace here and get out to a 2 or 3 second lead before the field really knows how to react. And that's what we see him doing here. He's just set the fastest lap, and he's up by about 7/10 of a second after one lap.
It doesn't take much. It'll be a question of whether he can actually hang on to that. It looks like Chris Murray right on his tail. We'll keep an eye on that battle throughout the race this evening. Plenty going on back here in the pack, though, as we see our our opening season champion, Matt Searle, leading an absolute host of drivers. Dale Horn gets up the inside, almost contact there as they both try and fit through a fairly wide spot, but only really the one apex to aim for. Behind them, though, Zach Vlietser, Joe Della Rosa in there as well for, I think it might be close to the first time we've actually seen him racing so far in the series. I'll have to go and check that, but we haven't seen much of him. So a bit of a dark horse here tonight. He's mixing it up with David Noden and Lucas Blake behind him. But Tim Pattinson and Dale Horn, the two of his teammates, side by side. You can see already Dale Horn appears to be carrying a little bit of front end damage, so maybe just getting caught up in a little bit. He's missing the front bar. You know, those things basically just fall off when you look at them funny. So I won't hold it against him too much. I'm wondering if he might have gotten caught up in some of the early chaos, although he certainly didn't register from our perspective. But yeah, it's becoming a bit of a familiar sight of McLaren without a front bar.
You see it a lot as Horn takes a very wide line there. I'm not sure if that's within track limits or not.
That'll be a slowdown. There it is. Yellow flag is up on the timing tower. And that means that iRacing has decided that was just a little bit too far when he was pushing the friendship there. We'll jump back up front because Chris Murray has started to really open up a gap to these following through, who now find themselves battling it out amongst each other and just costing a bit of time here. Chris Fitzgerald out in front for Send It, followed by Nicholas Heath and Jeff Price, but the McLarens dominating so far here at Silverstone. Although they're not top of the tower, there's plenty of them in that top 10.
And Matt Webber has just punched it down into the 159s for the first time of any driver in this race. He's got a 1.5 second lead out front. That cold tire pace, a big factor again for Webber early.
Yeah, absolutely is. And for context, folks, in qualifying, only one driver into the 159s. Everyone else stuck at that 2-minute barrier. Of course, that one driver, Matt Webber again.
Nicholas Heath now having a run at Chris Fitzgerald, trying to get up into third place, and it looks like he's going to get it done. Fitzgerald now looking maybe to cross him back over.
I expect
Heath,
we'll
though,
see.
shuts the door.
I expect we'll see a bit of back and forth here with these three. It's one of those tracks that really does reward being in the slipstream. It's a very fast track. There's not a lot of heavy braking zones around Silverstone, and so being tucked in behind is actually probably not a bad spot to be. So I can't imagine that Heath is going to hold on to that position for any great deal of time. Fitzgerald will be able to just go along for the ride, essentially. Take a look a little bit further back, because we've got Lewis Bahaja and Ben Christian side by side as they make their way past the old pits. It's a fast right-hander there, Ben Christian, just dropping off the back as Bahaja looks to move further up through the field. He's up 10 spots from the start. In fact, about the only driver that's done better than that is Jeremy Newton from Valhalla Motorsports. He's up into 13 after starting in 26th.
Very impressive stuff from Jeremy Newton. Once again, the only Lamborghini in the field, but it's looking very racy today.
Do love a good Lamborghini. I'll be honest,
As he's now challenging Stephen Scully for 12th place.
Yeah, and he's still moving, isn't he? I don't know. The Lamborghini, not characteristically a particularly fast car. You know, it doesn't have an amazing top end compared to the other GT3s or anything like that, but certainly Newton's making it move at the moment. G'day, Onan. Welcome to the chat. Saw you checking in earlier on, and apologies, we missed a little bit of the start of this one for you, but immediately into it, and Newton moves up another place. He's up into 12th, so that Lamborghini absolutely on song here tonight at Silverstone. Sure enough, the battling continuing here. Nicholas Heath not finding a way to open up too much more of a gap. He's maybe picked up a 10th or 2 over the course of the last couple of minutes, but Chris Fitzgerald and Jeff Price sticking right with him at the moment. The two teammates behind, Brian Roy and Tim Simon from AusNZ. Another couple of the McLarens in this one, just onto the back of TKR Dash Racing's Martin Hallinan, and one of only 2 Mustangs in the top 10. It's a McLaren heavy top 10, to be fair, but certainly is, you know, it seems to be the track that's just made for them.
It seems to be a track that benefits these mid-engine rear-wheel drive cars in particular. The McLaren and the Lamborghini seem to be the 2 fastest cars on track here. Other than our 2 championship protagonists out front, we've got a very McLaren-heavy top 10, and the Lamborghini's looking incredibly fast as well. It just seems that that's the style of car that this track's benefiting the most today.
We see in the background Matt Searle having a bit of a moment. We'll go back and just take a quick look and see what we can pick up here. Is there contact? Maybe a little brush, but I suspect he might have done that to himself, just asking a little bit too much of those rear tyres. Gets it moving again, just loses a couple of places, but he will have a bit of work ahead of him to get back up through the field, sitting in 22nd at the moment.
And that could have been netcode too. It just gets so close in the tight corners like that. As Matt Weber with another 159, still the only driver to break that 159 barrier.
And to his credit, Chris Murray not far off at 2 minutes and 15 microseconds, I suppose. I'm just trying to decide on the term for that.
No,
15
Murray's starting to end up.
But he's still slower than Weber for the moment. There's not a huge amount there.
He's faster than everyone else. Murray's starting to end up on an island there in 2nd place.
Well, have a look at that gap back to Heath, Fitzgerald and Price. They're just coming under the bridge now. You can see on the tower, you've got 5 seconds back to Murray, another 3 seconds forward to Matt Weber. It is a significant gap that threatens to grow. For Chris Murray, he's not going to be too disappointed, though, to be sitting in 2nd place, because that means he'll stay in touch with this championship as it unfolds a little. Welcome back, incidentally, if anyone has been wondering what happened so far in the championship series. Last week was a bit of an interesting one. Mid-season classic, not counting for points, but certainly counting for fun. The Monza Oval delivered, I'd say, some pretty interesting moments, though.
It delivered a lot of yellows.
A lot of yellows. But,
An impressive amount of yellows.
To be expected. It's oval racing. There's always going to be a huge number of yellows, and when it's an oval that isn't exactly in the greatest state of repair, you're just going to get more of them ultimately.
it's just such a challenging track to drive with the low apron. People were playing pretty fast and loose with the yellow line, which I think was a little bit of our fault as a league as well, that we didn't put out proper guidance on what to do with the yellow line at Monza. People were kind of just going wherever, up, down, wherever they wanted to be, because the whole track is fast. It's not like there's any change going below the yellow line. It was a chaotic race, but I for one really enjoyed watching it. As is that a little bit of rain that might be starting to fall, Jared?
The rain begins to fall, and this is where we'll start to see some strategy come in as drivers decide when to change over to the wets if it's going to stick around. Kieran Rice making a very, very early call to get in. It is now. This is one of the tricky parts about the cameras that we use here in iRacing. You won't actually see the rain falling when we've got them zoomed in like this. It tends to be only when you've got a slightly wider field of view that you can actually see the drops falling, just like that there. But rest assured, there is just a small shower at the moment. Whether that'll be enough to justify a switch to wet, certainly plenty of the field think so, as everyone comes into pits. Now, this will be a question of whether anyone's prepared to just try and push on a little bit further, because realistically, this rain it's relatively light in the scheme of things. It's not going to make this track undrivable on flicks for probably another couple of laps. So there is a real benefit to staying out for a little while longer on the dries if you're confident enough that you can handle just a little bit of reduced traction.
There could be, and I think if there's one driver out here who's confident enough to handle the loose traction right now, it would be Matt Webber. He's gained about half a second to 3/4 of a second on Chris Murray just since the rain started falling. He's really started to open that gap up.
I've just taken a look at the radar in the background here, and with apologies, we can't actually get it across to you with the new UI just at the moment. But it is just a fairly narrow band of rain. However, it is going to get a bit heavier as it passes over the track. Right now, it's only just arriving, but certainly enough on the way, and certainly some heavier rain due in probably the next, what you'd say, 5 minutes or so. It's certainly enough that these drivers are going to have to think pretty seriously about switching over to the wets. Again, it's really just a question of when. What we might do as Matt Webber heads around another track, let's jump on board and we can get a bit of a look at just what he's seeing as he makes his way around. As I said, there's really not a lot of water sitting on the track at the moment. Webber's obviously pretty comfortable to still push it into the mid 200 km/h range, but you'll see it just start to get a little bit looser as more rain starts to coat the surface. There is a really good rule of thumb, of course, to use here, and it's a little difficult for Webber being out in front and no one around him. But generally, rule of thumb, if you can see just a little bit of spray coming off the tyres, you're usually okay to continue on those slicks. It's only really when you start to see a bit of spray coming from under the car that you're getting pretty close to that crossover point as a general rule.
That's a good tip. I've never heard that. I've never driven in the rain at all in a road race. This would be terrifying for me. I'm sure I would be in the wall by now.
Honestly, it's not so scary at this point. At this stage, you've got just a little bit of water, and it's actually barely impacting until it starts to pool a little bit. What you do have to be really careful of, you can see that little bit of spray just starting to kick up at the back of the car now. So the track is starting to get very wet very quickly, and it'll be interesting to see just what Matt Webber thinks he's going to do here. It'll be pretty close to where you want to come in, and sure enough, Webber in to make that changeover. It's not a perfect way to tell, but it's a pretty good indication that you've got enough standing water. However, this is the interesting one. Fitzgerald's going to chance it, as is Martin Hullen, and they're going to go for another lap here. So we're seeing
Heath and Price look to be chancing it as well.
Actually, a lot of drivers still coming through. Brian Roy,
really, a number of these drivers still think they can handle it. Yeah, and I wanted to ask Jared, I don't know what kind of timing tower wizardry you can do on your end, but is there any way that we could pull up which drivers are still on slicks and which drivers are on wet tires?
Is there any way? Of course there's a way. This will give you a
This is what I
very
wanted
good
to
view
see.
of it. Webber obviously coming out on the wets is not taking any chances, and fair enough too. You know, he's got a title to defend. Bellicott getting the changeover now to wets as well, and you'll see this with everyone that pits in. Right? They're gonna start to pick up the wet tyres. Corbett back in at 22nd, still out there on the dries, so is likely to drop back quite a few positions when he does come in to change over to the wet tyres. But keep your eye now on Chris Murray, Nicholas Heath, Price and Fitzgerald out in front until you actually start to get, you know, standing puddles of water on the surface. It isn't impossible to drive this on slicks. The thing you've got to be really super careful of though is that the racing line gets very, very slippery very, very quickly. So everywhere that you've got this rubber laid down, the water basically just collects on top of it, and you'll often find, particularly at this kind of weird interim point in a race with a bit of rain around, you'll often find that actually the regular racing line is the slowest by a significant margin, because you just have to take so much extra care. What we will probably see here, I suspect though, is a good chance of Murray, Heath, Price, Fitzgerald, one of these top drivers just overcooking it a little bit on this laid down rubber as it gets a little bit more damp, and that might be enough to spit them off the track.
They're going to stay out another lap.
So they're really chancing this. Look, as we take a look at the radar again, it's fairly, it's just going to start to get heavier now. We're really just starting to get into the heavier rain at the moment. I can't imagine they're going to have more than another lap.
Roy Collins and Newton all already in. And the thing to watch for Chris Murray, he was about 6.5 seconds behind Matt Webber when Webber came into the pits. We're going to see if Murray staying out on the slicks is going to reduce that gap, or if Webber's going to increase it by the time Murray gets out.
Of course, we've got to wait for Murray to come in the first place. Brian Roy looks like
he's going to stay out.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Brian Roy looks like he's actually picked up a black flag on entry to the pit, so maybe just coming in a little bit hot there and picking up a stop and hold for speeding. That's going to set him back quite some way, because that's usually fairly harsh, somewhere in the region of 20 to 40 seconds, depending on the particular pit lane. But Matt Webber currently sitting, look, if we jump, I'm just going to have to do some quick maths here, folks, bear with me. He's about 40 odd seconds off the back of Nicholas Heath, so add on another 6.5, he's about 46 seconds back at the moment from Chris Murray. The time in pit lane just on a minute, effectively, for most of these drivers. So it should, at the moment, turn out that Murray will be close, but probably a little bit further back than originally he was compared to Webber. I mean, the question you've got to ask is how much would Webber have continued to gain over Murray anyway, even if they were both out on slicks and sticking with it.
Yeah, Webber just in complete control throughout this race, and I don't think you can fault Murray for staying out one bit, as Dale Horn getting a little bit loose, almost pushing out there into the side of Austin. But like I was saying, I don't think you can fault Murray for staying out here at all. It's a completely valid strategy. He's 6.5 seconds back for the lead of the race. He's sort of on an island. He's got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to throw something different at it, right? It's not costing him any real time at the moment. When you take a look
Nicholas
at
Heath and Chris Fitzgerald in this time, Murray and Price stay out.
So this is the thing to keep the eye on Murray. Murray continues because he knows he's not quite at that crossover point. However, that last lap at 2:13 says to me that he's actually overcooked this perhaps just a little bit. And we're starting to see these times coming through 2:12s for the drivers still out on dries. Matt Webber, we're still waiting on a full lap time from him on those wets, but we've seen 2:04s, 2:07s on the wet tyres. So we're a bit past that crossover point, and you can kind of estimate that from the amount of spray we're starting to see now. I think Murray's probably overcooked a little bit, as in the background looks like Zach Vlietstra, perhaps. No, his teammate, sorry. I've just got to find him in our list. Has gone around. Anthony Capan, just sliding it off the track and perhaps just hitting a little bit of that wet rubber that's sent him off to the side. Thankfully, the wall's a little way back here at Silverstone, so not quite as much damage as he might have picked up at another track.
I think we'll probably see everyone on slicks in within the next 2 laps.
You'd have to think so. I can't.
Probably this lap.
I can't imagine that this is feeling very good for Chris Murray. As we go on board now, just take a look at how much he's having to work to control this now. You can see him not pushing high revs, so he's not wanting to put the car into a state where it might light those tyres up. He's definitely tiptoeing through these corners a bit. Just getting caught up a little with some of the back markers who are actually running just as fast, if not a little bit quicker than Murray at the moment, just due to the wet compound. You can see Tilly's in now in 19th and dropping as he comes in to switch over to those wets. But have a look at how deep Murray is still sending this car under brakes. He's still giving it a shot, but he's got to come in. Has to come in now. And sure enough, heads to the pits. It'll be time for wets, and you'll see Price, Hallinan and Noden follow through in quick order, I'm sure.
Surely. And one of the most underrated aspects of why racing in the rain like this is so difficult was very clear in that onboard. It's just visibility. You could see when Murray was following behind the McLaren of Horn that he just had no forward visibility. He couldn't see where the car in front of him's tires were. He couldn't see his brake lights. Following into the corner is incredibly dangerous in conditions like this, and it's very impressive that all these drivers have kept it as clean as they have so far. This has been a great showcase of driving.
And while we've been watching Chris Murray, what we've really missed here, Boone, and it's just occurred to me, Nicholas Heath has played it perfectly. He went a couple of extra laps on the dry tyres while he still had the pace. He's grabbed that crossover point and he actually finds himself now about a second and a half. Oh, no, that's my fault. That's my fault. It must be my fault. Up until that corner, Nicholas Heath was a second and a half ahead of championship leader Matt Webber, and had done a beautiful job of timing his pit stop. Unfortunately, that's going to set him back a bit, but it should mean that he comes out in a pretty good position. Now, in saying that, Chris Murray is back out of the pits, and somehow still well ahead
Murray's
of this
made
group.
this work.
So
Murray has made this work by staying out.
I'm stunned as to how he's picked up that much time. My maths could have been awful.
I'm gonna have to watch this back and see how he's done that.
That's a brilliant stop.
I didn't think that was gonna work.
This is the thing. It's all about timing on that tyre change. I honestly thought Murray had overcooked it. He was so far off the pace. But in saying that, Matt Webber's time last time around was a 2:18.93. So as the rain continues to fall, the wet tyres do still become a bit slower because by nature of the fact that you're driving on a wet track, you just can't hold the same pace. So Murray's, I take everything I've said back. Chris Murray's actually played that brilliantly. He's changed them over at just about the right point in terms of how wet the track is or is going to be, and finds himself in an enviable position, 6 seconds up right now on Matt Webber. That is phenomenally well managed pit stops.
Fantastic job from Murray. Webber has been closing the gap a little bit on this lap as Dale Horn, it appears, picks up a black flag down in 27th place.
That's on the way into the pits. You'd have to think speeding.
I would think so. And I want to draw a little bit of attention to the car in 7th place right now, the 81 of David Noden, the last car out on slicks. I'm really interested to see just how long he's going to run this. If he's going to try to maybe outlast the rain entirely.
It seems incredibly unlikely that anyone's going to outlast this. It's actually, look, we're probably about halfway through the band of rain that's passing over. Sure enough, in he comes. We're only about halfway through the rain at this point, and it's not going to get any lighter until it completely clears. We're about halfway through the race, which really tells us that there is absolutely no way you're gonna outlast this rain. Jeremy Newton now right behind Daniel Vallecott, so he's caught up brilliantly. The Lamborghini just as quick, it appears, on wets as it is on dries. His last lap at 2:16.78, only a half second off Matt Webber's time.
Been on the hot lap in this race. This has been probably his finest performance of the season so far. He's hunting for another position here. It's just a question, I think, of how far up the field he can get, because right now he looks completely dialed in.
this will give us a bit of a view on board. You can see there's not a lot of spray at the moment, although that will absolutely pick up as they get up into the higher speeds. And it does really impact, because you see a little bit of a wiggle there. Those white lines either side of the track get very, very slippery indeed with just a little bit of water on there. But Newton is doing exactly what he needs to here in terms of getting off the standard racing line and using the grip that's available where there isn't much rubber laid down. You can see the puddles though starting to build just in towards the curbs, and that's going to cause some issues if these drivers aren't careful.
Yeah, you could see he got into that puddle a little bit there by the apex. He had to lift out, and he lost a little bit of space to Velicott now. It's just such a challenge to drive a mid-engine as we see someone go around.
Jeff
as
Price
I was saying,
facing backwards.
Such a challenge to drive a mid-engine car in these conditions. You could see it in that onboard, and you see it here from Jeff Price. It looks like there may have been contact with Price, though.
No, I think all it was is that he actually just got loose on the ripple strip on the way out of that corner. We'll have another look. I'll just get us an onboard view, but I actually don't think there was anyone around him at the time. I think he's just come out and then, put the power down on the ripple strip and just slides away. Not unusual, honestly. It's very, very slippery out there on the ripple strips, and the loss of traction that you can put up with quite easily when it is a dry track. Very, very different than a wet track. It just takes that moment, and all of a sudden you're off to the edge of the track, as we see the spray really starting to kick up now as they get down the back of this long straight. That is probably one of the nicest features, I will say, that iRacing have added in recent seasons. Not so long ago, and it's going back probably, I think, 2 or 3 seasons now. I'm sure someone out there will correct me, but not so long ago, the amount of spray kicked up in the wet didn't really change. It was all or nothing. And the changes they've made to adjust the spray based on the car's speed make it far more realistic, far more enjoyable to drive in wet conditions. As much as wet conditions can be fun, I suppose, Boone. But it is a very different look compared to the constant rooster tails you got all the time in previous seasons of iRacing.
I think it's just more fun for us as broadcasters as well. It's kind of
good.
rewarding to see the big fishtails come up later on in the run.
Now this is interesting. You can see that shiny section of track that these drivers are sticking to. That's your standard racing line. There's actually probably a bit more grip to be had just off that line. You can see there's very little water. So just on the right-hand side of the straight's a great example. You can see where all the water's just standing on the rubber that is on the track on the standard racing line. There's actually probably a fair bit more grip, as we see a big moment there for Oscar Dobbins just getting into that puddle. Sends him off to the side, but see how quickly he recovers there. Because he's actually off that racing line, had plenty of grip to get the power down, and whether or not he picks up on that and starts to get out of the puddles a little bit is another question altogether. Simon runs way off to the side as he gets some extra pace out of the turn. Dobbins, Austin, Simon and Bahaja now all locked into this one. Simon did pick up a slowdown for his efforts there, but this is the battle for ninth.
It's a lot of points on offer here. This is still very, very good points territory. All these drivers fighting hard for it. I'm curious to see if anyone's going to start to get off the racing line more. There is just so much standing water at so many different points on the track that I think sometimes these drivers just feel most comfortable with what they know.
Yeah, it's a real skill, and it's something that honestly not many people do practice. As we see our drone struggling to see through the spray as we make our way down the straight, but take a look at the amount of water that is sitting there. A big moment there for Austin as he gets it all locked up.
Down the inside.
Yeah, much more grip there available for braking. That's absolutely the way to do it. Bahaja now closing in behind Bradley Austin. It's a big contact there. Austin into the back of Simon. Simon spins, and he will be now looking to get it back underway. Thankfully, he's managed to retain the rear wing, it seems, which is super unusual in a rear collision like that. But he will be very, very thankful for that, because that's about the only thing that keeps these cars drivable when you do suffer a bit of a rear end impact like that.
Especially in the rain, I would not envy him if he'd lost his rear wing there. Fortunate for Simon to still come away with the position and with his rear wing. Yeah,
that is about the luckiest thing. I cannot overstate how lucky it is to not lose your rear wing and still lose your rear bar. That never happens. Never happens.
You could see that one coming, though, from a little bit back. They were running so close. Austin right behind Simon, right in the spray like we were talking about earlier. Your visibility just gets so bad when you're trying to follow close through the corners. I'm surprised we haven't had more of those.
And have a look at this. Newton's caught up behind one of the lap cars. I think that's Dale Horn in the middle of that. As best we can see it, well, now off the track, so we'll see if he picks up a slowdown. That'll tell us. Sure. Oh, big moment there. I looked away for a second, and all of a sudden,
Newton hard.
What happened?
A lot of damage to the left side of that Lamborghini. It looked like the McLaren of, I think, Dale Horn just got loose there, swerved down the track.
Oh, yeah, over the ripple strip, and sure enough,
just loses it on the outside.
Nothing Newton could do there.
No, and I don't think a lot that Horn could do either.
No, it's. Oh, look at this. He's dragging that front left, so he's going to have a real battle in his hands. Sure enough,
as he spins around again.
Yeah, and I don't know if he'd even be aware of just how bad that damage is at the moment, but he tows it to the pits because that's absolutely the best he can do at the moment. Chris Murray out in front, still maintaining 6.5 seconds over Matt Webber. Brilliant strategic drive.
He's actually pulled about a second in the past lap on Webber.
So it's a huge effort, and just goes to show how much a little bit of pit strategy in changeable weather conditions can really influence the outcome of a race. As he goes past Matt Searle, finds himself now a lap down. These drivers all though very, very spread out here at Silverstone, which probably is what's keeping them, so many of them, in the game at the moment, is not being tucked right in behind each other and being unable to see brake markers and the like. That little bit of extra space, as we see Dobbins really pushing hard, trying to get a move on Simon, a bit of the flash of the lights there, so I don't know if there's maybe some contact or something like that we've just missed. Simon does a great job to just hang out onto a little bit of a wider line there to try and find some more grip. Dobbins, meanwhile, just looking to throw it into any opportunity he gets. And Tim Simon's going to have a real battle on his hands all the way through the remaining 10 laps.
It's been non-stop for Tim Simon in this one, just like it was non-stop for him in the last one. This is one guy who just never seems to catch a break when he's on the broadcast.
Well, look, it'd be boring if he did now. I think that's his lot in life for us, isn't it?
It seems like his purpose in this series is to just defend and entertain us.
And he does a great job.
Sacrifice,
to be fair, someone's got to do it. It may as well be Tim Simon from Austin Sim Racing. Drew Collins now finds Daniel Vellacott, catching him very, very quickly, and you can see, even though the rain is starting to clear, it's just about cleared now, in fact, and should start to dissipate altogether. But with 10 laps to go, this water is not going anywhere. About the best they can hope for is that there might be a little bit of a dry line that starts to form as the rain stops falling. And Vellacott cruises on past. Collins just stays out of the way. He'd rather be following than leading at the moment. And Vellacott picks up 5th place and continues his charge towards the top 4. It's a long way forward for him, though. 11 seconds from Vellacott forward to Chris Fitzgerald. And then another 6 seconds forward to Nicholas Heath. Still a lot of separation there as Oscar Dobbins finds himself in behind Bradley Austin. Let's jump on board because it'll give you a really good idea of just how impossible it is to see when you're behind some of the pace. However, we might have to switch to Bradley Austin because Dobbins has sent it up the inside, feeling very, very confident with the amount of grip in that McLaren. Bradley Austin, meanwhile, is right alongside, and we can see they're going to battle it all the way through here. I think Dobbins is going to have the better run.
Oh, that is great stuff as Austin crosses him back over, and he's going to have a run now up the inside. Dobbins going to try to shut the door as they come down the home stretch, and he does. That's a great battle there. That's very, very entertaining. Great stuff from both drivers.
You can see Austin just doing everything he can to stay out of the spray so we can actually see what's going on. But there you go. That's what it's like to sit in behind another car. It doesn't have to be raining. It just has to be wet on the track, and you lose all of that visibility. I can tell you from plenty of hardline experience, it is not a fun place to be, particularly if you're not very familiar with the track.
It's a brutal choice for Austin to have to make too in a lot of these corners. He has the choice of either driving in the spray and not being able to see where he's going, or seeing where he's going but driving in standing water and losing a couple tenths every corner. It's just a no-win situation when you're following sometimes in the rain.
You can absolutely feel every single one of those puddles you see. Just a little step, a little moment there for Austin under brakes. Just Porsche's trying to kill you. What else is new around here? But it's really like you can absolutely feel when you hit those puddles, the steering feedback that you get mid-corner is frankly scary at times, because it's very, very hard to be able to tell what your wheel's going to do next, essentially.
No, especially when they start to hydroplane on some of the larger patches of standing water, which are everywhere with how much rain we've had in this race.
Yeah, it was a very typically British downpour, wasn't it? Just dump the water and then off it goes. And speaking of off it goes, I do believe, was that David Noden just off to the side? Gets the braking just a little bit
yes,
off, and away he goes. Further up though, this battle continues. Vellacott has not managed to shake Drew Collins, so the two of them still within a second of each other. Collins maybe just finding, and you saw before, he basically let Vellacott come on through. And Collins maybe just trying to follow Vellacott's line and just do enough to stick with him at the moment.
You might just be hoping for a mistake out of Vellacott, which in these conditions is not a bad strategy.
Not at all. Speaking of mistakes, unfortunately for Stephen Scully, Overcook's a little bit hard to recover once you get that slide going on a wet track. Thankfully, no real damage, but does find himself turned around the wrong way, and he will have to just try and pick those positions back up if he can. Not too much in it, still in the top 15 at least, but not where he would prefer to be, I'm sure. Vellacott now starting to lose some time.
A little bit. It looks like Vellacott now starting to struggle as they come through the... I forgot the name of this complex.
It's the S's. Honestly, it doesn't have a none of these have a specific.
You got a slow car on the inside. Was that Dale Horn? I think it was one of the Tendent McLarens.
It looks like it might have been, but while we've been watching this, a big moment for Oscar Dobbins as he comes on to the main straight. Look, a little bit of a touch to the wall, loses the rear wing. That is a death sentence in these conditions.
Aero damage on the front and rear of that McLaren, and he's not good for Dobbins.
No, not at all. And just watch this for a moment. You can see how much he's going to struggle here, particularly given there are so many high-speed corners with no rear downforce, very limited grip because of the conditions. He's going to do very, very well just to make it back without crashing.
Oscar was really vocal leading up to this race about his dislike of racing in the rain, and we're seeing a little bit of why here. It's just one mistake and you're punished brutally for it. It's very, very challenging conditions.
Credit where credit's due, though. He's doing a great job of not actually losing much time at all. How he's managing to find that mechanical grip, I have no idea.
From Oscar Dobbins. He's taking some pretty unconventional lines. I think that's a lot of it. If we could ride on board with him a little bit until he gets back around to the pits, I'd love to see the kind of lines he's taking around the track here.
I'll give us a very good view of it. And I think you'll see him stay just a fair bit wide of the apex to try and avoid those puddles, avoid the slippier surface. You can see the clouds already clearing. Now that's interesting. He's decided he can do this without a rear wing. I'm going to watch our telemetry very, very closely because I don't think that...
From Oscar Dobbins.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's only 7 laps, and if he's watching his relatives, he knows that he's holding Brian Roy behind him by about 10 seconds pretty consistently. So, look, maybe he can do this. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I know for myself, if I lose that rear wing, I'm straight into the pits. No way am I risking a high-speed reversal of front and rear of my car, particularly in conditions like this. Dobbins, obviously, a more courageous driver than I am, let's say.
And that's not even to mention the aero damage that he's got on the front of the car. As we see, it looks like Shannon Corbett trying to chase down Lucas Blake now. This is for 18th position.
Ferrari got
Corbett's got a little bit.
a bit of battle scarring, doesn't he?
Yeah. We haven't seen much from either of these drivers so far in this race. Matt Webber had the gap down to about 5.3 seconds there for a little bit, but Murray's starting to widen it back out to about 6 seconds, as Corbett has a little bit of a moment there coming through the S's.
And this is where it gets really challenging. You know, the rain stops falling. You think you can start to see kind of a dry line developing on the track, so you think, oh, I can push a little bit harder here, but have a look at those puddles on the outside of the braking zone there particularly. There is still a huge amount of standing water that is right in the danger zone for these drivers. Big move from the inside of Corbett though, what a send.
Ooh, if he gets this done, it's going to be nice. Look out for the crossover from Blake on the way back. He's not going to have the run. That is nice stuff from Shannon Corbett. I hate to say it because he's passing my brother, but that was a nice move.
It was, and honestly just timed it to perfection. Picked the right line. You can see, look, there is a bit of a dry line there, but it's still plenty of water sitting on it. But he's picked the right one at the right time and made that move look easy in the end.
He's pulling out a gap now as well. Corbett finding some pace here on this wet track.
We might jump forward a little bit and just see what's happening up around the top end of the pack. Lewis Bahaja comes in to clear his black flag, though I'm not sure exactly how he picked it up. Looks like it was an incident count because he's been issued it just after a bit of an off-track excursion. Go back and just take a look at this as Lewis Bahaja just taps that ripple strip and can't get it turning in, so runs it across the grass in a big way. But that he must have known that he had a pit lane visit coming from that last couple of last incident point there.
That was a fairly large cut of the corner. I'm sure he knew he had something
I
coming.
suspect there's a pretty sizable slowdown involved with that one as well. Martin Hallinan now all over the back of Ben Christian as they come down the front straight to start lap number 19. And Hallinan, look, he's had a rough ride tonight. He's down 7 positions, but doing everything he can to make that back up. And Ben Christian moves over because Hallinan's just charging through.
Hallinan has been really, really quick all night. It's never developed for him in terms of the run that he's wanted. But I think in terms of pace, he's been one of the 4 or 5 quickest cars on track all night. He's showing that he's got a long way to go to work back towards the top 10, but at least 13th is looking pretty secure for him.
He makes his way down straight virtually entirely on his own. He's left Ben Christian behind. I do wonder if Christian's maybe just struggling a little bit more with these changeable conditions at the moment, because Kieran Rice from Valhalla has absolutely reeled him in as well, down to within a second now. He'll be having to think about whether or not he's got a move up the sleeve. Just taking a quick look at that timing tower though, Murray out to almost 7 seconds now, so still finding pace, and indeed last lap he was a full second quicker than Matt Webber. So Chris Murray, big contact in the background. That looked like it might have been Dale Horn. No, I apologise. That was who was that going into the wall there?
I think it could have been Noden. And we've got another Aston Martin slow on the inside.
What, another one off track? That looks like that was Rob Tilley, who had a bit of a moment there, as well as I believe that Ben Christian getting in amongst it at the same time. There's plenty going on here.
They were unrelated.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any contact there, as we see Matt Searle coming back out of the pits. So had to make a little bit of a visit there late in this race. Not going to be his night, and the question is, will it be his drop round? As we see Oscar Dobbins still running around without that rear wing, and have a look at the pressure he's putting Searle under. Where is Dobbins finding the speed?
Where is Dobbins finding this confidence? This is one of the most courageous, borderline reckless drives that I've seen from any driver this season. He's making it work though. If he can get to the end without a rear wing making moves like this, it's going to be one of the drives of the season, no matter where he finishes.
And you know what is really unfortunate for Matt Searle, that little bit of a misjudge of Dobbins in the braking zone there, and just not quite pulling up as quickly as he needed to. Looks to have been just enough of an incident point to send Searle back for a drive-through.
Oh, that's just... It shows how
them's the
quickly
breaks,
penalties
right?
stack up in the rain. Yeah, just not the day for Searle. He's going to finish well down the order in this one.
Bradley Austin's still sitting a fair way ahead of Oscar Dobbins. He's managed to keep that Porsche facing the right way throughout this race. Pretty clean, generally speaking, bar a few minor wobbles here and there, which is to be expected from any Porsche on any track, really. And I say that as a fan of the Porsches, particularly the GTE. They still try and kill you wherever they can, and a wet track is absolutely one of their favourite places to do that. Lewis Bahaja now making a bit of a run towards Shannon Corbett, trying to just cut down on that lead a little further. As Joe Del Rosa in the background just has a bit of a moment, goes around. Thankfully, as far as positions on the track to lose the car, that's not a bad one. Struggling though to find grip.
I think Del Rosa is going to lose a single position from that slowdown though. Oh,
and a black flag.
I thought he was going to get away with it for a moment.
Speaking of, Oscar Dobbins has made contact with the wall and has picked up a black flag, so he's run up enough incident points there. Well, I should say he's had a moment, and there we go. There's some contact there with what appears to be perhaps one of the lapped cars, maybe Anthony Capan or Zach Leedstra, either way. A bit of extra contact, but that's been again enough incident points to send Dobbins through for a pit lane penalty. Wet races. It's
heavy damage to the front of that McLaren now. Surely he's going to come in and repair his car while he's in the...
Well, the thing is, if he does that, it's not going to count as a drive-through. He's not allowed to actually make the stop on his penalty pass. So at this point...
You're right.
At this point, he's just going to keep going. He's sitting in 10th at the moment.
Why not?
Why not? Like, he's got a good chance to come out as his front bar finally detaches. He's got a good chance to come out somewhere ahead or around Hallinan, only 2 places down. So in terms of championship points, I mean, you've got to send it at this point, don't you?
It's not going to be a significant loss to drop from 10th to maybe 12th or 13th position. He's only going to lose a few points in the scheme of things.
Yeah, I think it's worth a shot. We've only got a few laps to go.
Nicholas Heath had been mounting a charge for 3rd. He was as close as 3 seconds on Fitzgerald, but he's dropped back massively. He may have had a moment of some kind. It looks like our podium positions are going to be pretty much set, barring some kind of incident at the front.
You see in the background Rob Tilley just doing a little pirouette off the track. So still plenty of challenge in these track conditions, with just a few laps left to run here for round 6 at Silverstone of the Tasman Racing League Road Series. Bahaja gets the pass done, but Pattinson not going to give it up that easily. Has a big look up the inside. Bahaja just enjoying the extra grip out wide from that apex, and making it count is the name of the game here. You've got to find that grip anywhere you can. The track obviously still very wet, even on the, let's call it a dry line, but still plenty of water being picked up by these cars, which says to us that it's not going to be dry before we reach the end of this one. Dobbins has come in for his drive-through. So let's keep a close eye on this. He's dropped 1 position so far. Scully goes past. Can he get out ahead of Hallinan? Let's stay with Martin Hallinan here. He's about 450 odd metres down the track. Pit lane transit time 38 seconds. Dobbins is going to come out ahead. He's done it.
Seems like it. The question is by how much.
I mean, he's going to be carrying damage. He's going to be slow, but it looks like he's going to hold on to about a 4-second lead over Hallinan. It's brave, but it's the only choice he could have made at this point.
And if Oscar Dobbins can hold on to this, it is going to be well done from him to only lose 1 position with that drive-through. That is a rare sight.
Yeah,
Buhager has retired from the race.
Wow, so that must have been a big crash that he's just had while we've been watching this one. Let's go back and take a look. And that's high speed straight into the wall.
That almost looks like an equipment disconnection. Maybe his steering wheel had an issue. It could be that. It could just be a massive lockup in the rain.
Let's go back and have a look, see if we can catch what's happened there. I'm just going to try and find us a bit of a better view, because that was absolutely massive from Bahaja.
And I think Matt Webber's had a moment. Chris Webber's only 3 seconds behind him. Or Chris Fitzgerald, I'm sorry, is only 3 seconds behind Matt Webber.
So not a... yeah, Webber's really struggled. I think he's added a couple of seconds there. Nothing coming up on our end, but certainly not finding the pace that he was hoping for. And Fitzgerald maybe a little bit of a sniff of a chance here. 2.5 seconds is a long way back, but if Webber makes another error, it drops him another couple of seconds, then
Webber looks a little out of sorts right now.
It really does. Chris Murray, on the other hand, that Aston performing absolutely wonderfully out in front as he hits the water there. Got to wonder if maybe he's trying to just cool the tyres a little bit to allow him to push a bit harder through the drying sections of the track. That's it. None of the track is really dry, but you can see there's a fairly significantly less amount of spray coming off the back of the Aston as they come down parts of this straight. So he's just experimenting at the moment with where he's going to get the best value from it. Let's go back and take another look at Bahaja's incident and see what on earth has actually happened to Lewis in the hybrid sim sport McLaren. Let's see whether there's contact involved, or does he just straight line it? And I
don't see any steering input at all.
No,
I think that's
likewise.
a hardware disconnection.
It's happening far too often for my liking, Boone, and that's no fault of any of the drivers. But you know, it's one of those things that sure we can argue all we like that it's the sim racing equivalent of a mechanical failure or what have you, but it's just it's a brutal way to find yourself out of a race.
It's never something you want to see. It's not that Buhager was not exactly having a banner day before that. He just, I believe, picked up a drive-through penalty for an incident count. But it's, as Lucas Blake runs a little bit wide, catches the side of the Sendit McLaren there of, looks like Pattinson, and Blake is going to slow up.
Who always likes to see a good redress.
Yeah, I think he knows he got a little late on the brakes there in the wet.
Maybe just push that one a little too hard. Matt Webber has...
You see it all the time.
Matt Webber's had another issue, and it's now down to 1.3 seconds back. Chris Fitzgerald might have a go at this.
He's on the hunt.
And we're about to come around to start what will be, I mean, we're halfway through this lap, so we've got, what, 1.5 to go? There's
1.5 to go.
There's not a lot left, and this gap is closing quickly.
It's closing very quickly. It's closing more quickly than it was even 2 or 3 laps ago.
What do you think the chances are that Webber's going light on fuel and is finding himself having a fuel save here?
I haven't thought about that, but it's possible. Now that you mention it, he is dropping a lot of pace.
I mean, to be fair, Fitzgerald is just blindingly quick right now. His last lap at 2:13.92. Virtually every other driver on the circuit a high 2:14 or 2:15. But he is just stupid quick in this McLaren at the moment.
Finding so much as this track continues to dry up, and it would be fascinating if we had another 5 or 10 laps here just to see how much more this race would change as all the drivers get more used to the drying track. But Fitzgerald has the measure of it right now, but Matt Webber's starting to bring the gap back out to about 1.2. I'm not sure if Fitzgerald's going to have the juice to get it done without a mistake out of Webber.
Well, the sun's out, the white flag's out. We're on to the last lap here of round 6 of the TRL Road Series. Silverstone has turned it on, a real changeable set of conditions. And here we go. Fitzgerald's going to really send it. He's now got it to within half a second. He's waited till the last lap, and now he's going to push so hard to try and get this. He knows he's got an 11-second gap behind him. He can afford to take some risks and not cost himself a position. Webber's going to have to be on high alert because Fitzgerald is going to throw absolutely everything at him on this final lap. It's a long lap too. We're only about a third of the way through. A flash of the lights from Webber to make sure that they don't get caught up with this lap traffic. Fitzgerald stays wide using that extra grip without the water sitting in that racing line, and still trying to just break that half second down a little further. Can't quite get it there at the moment. Webber's going to go up the inside. Now Fitzgerald's going to have to make a choice here as to which side of that lap traffic he's going to aim for. At the moment, you'd have to think he's going to follow Webber, but right up on the back. Oh, there's contact. Webber got on the brakes very, very early. Fitzgerald straight into the back of him. I don't know if he saw the brake lights, and this bit of traffic.
Try to go all the way around the outside.
Wow, well that's one way for that traffic to get out of the way.
Now.
Yeah, that's really disappointing for Fitzgerald. He had such a great run. I think Webber just maybe a little indecisive with that lap car, not really shifting one way or the other. Got on the brakes a little bit early, and Fitzgerald just straight into the back. I think that's all she wrote. Unfortunately for Chris Fitzgerald, he's still going to finish on the podium.
I think so. But it seems like Fitzgerald was going to have a really good run around the outside, and he got into the back of the lapped car. We'll have to see a replay of what happened there after the race.
Yeah, we'll try and track it down, but Murray about to cross the line in the Aston Martin. Here he comes round the final turn. An easy win in the end for Chris Murray. Brilliant drive, brilliant pit strategy, and he's brought it all the way home. As we see Webber now round that final turn, he'll take second place with Chris Fitzgerald coming across in third. We've still got a few battles going on even further back through the field, as Lucas Blake.
Brilliant stuff from Lucas Blake and Tim Pattinson for the entire final lap. I was watching the timing tower while you were talking about Webber and Fitzgerald. Pattinson had a bit of an incident, it seemed, and dropped back by about a second. Closed it up there at the end, but Lucas Blake closes at the top 15 finish.
What a great finish to this race. A massive drive from Chris Murray. Brilliant effort. Whoa. Right around as we see Anthony Catan. Whoa! Rolls the Porsche over, gets it sideways in the kitty litter, and just catches the tyres. Well, that is absolutely one way to finish our little bit of coverage there. And
finishes in style.
Yeah, that is not exactly what he would have had in mind, I'm sure.
Maybe. I've tried to wreck across the line before. They say you should finish in style. I'm not sure that's exactly what they mean, but it was attention getting for sure.
You know, he's done a fantastic job of it, absolutely. As we wait for the final results to come through, we've just got a couple drivers left to finish that one. I will go back and see if we can just catch where exactly the contact came there with Chris Fitzgerald and Matt Webber. I believe it would have been, and forgive the guesswork here. But
I think it might have been Big Christian.
Yeah, we'll try and just track down exactly where this happened. We might go back a little further and just keep an eye on Chris Fitzgerald here before we do take a look at the results. So this is looks to be post-incident. So Ben Christian off in the background. We might have to go back a little further then to see that one and try and figure out exactly what's happened. So Chris Fitzgerald, right behind, take a look up the left. That's the nudge afterwards. Okay, so that's
what caused the front end damage, and I think ultimately lost him his run on Webber, because he had a good run there on the outside even after the contact when Webber was a little early on the brakes.
Well, a very interesting finish to this evening's events as we take a look now at the results for tonight. A brilliant drive from Chris Murray takes the win ahead of Matt Webber, with Chris Fitzgerald back in third by 20 odd seconds. Just a massive difference in the pace out in front, and indeed the pit strategies. Nicholas Heath brings home fourth, with Drew Collins and Daniel Velicott behind him. Tim Seibert and Bradley Austin 7th and 8th, then Brian Roy and Stephen Scully rounding out your top 10. I am stunned by some of the events of tonight's racing. Boone, it was an event that really threw a little bit of everything at us, and that passing shower, look, it's something you kind of expect anytime you're racing in the UK. but it really did throw a spanner in the works for a lot of the drivers here tonight.
It did. We knew there would be rain from the start. Everyone knew it was going to rain at some point going in, but I think there's no way you can ever truly prepare to race in the rain. You just sort of have to go out there and see what's going to happen. It's always a race of adaptability, and we saw Chris Murray adapt the best tonight. What a drive from him.
Yeah, great drive, and the pit strategy really paying off. We did spend some time talking about just what it might mean to go an extra couple of laps. And in the end, Chris Murray went 3 laps further on those slicks than Matt Webber, coming in on lap 10 compared to Matt Webber's lap 7. You can forgive Webber for being a little bit cautious given how hard he would have been pushing out on those slicks, but Murray, to his credit, really just decided to roll with it and knew that he had a bit of time up his sleeve before the track really got so wet that he hit that crossover point. And it played out absolutely brilliantly for him.
It was a brilliant result when he needed it the most, to stay within striking distance in this championship, to beat Matt Webber when it looked at the start like it could be another dominant race for Webber. It's just great stuff all around for Chris Murray. One of the best races of the season that we've seen from any driver. And I think I'm confident in saying, Jared, this was my favorite race of the season that I've watched so far.
Look, I don't know, that Monza Oval was something pretty special, but I have to agree, Silverstone has really turned it on, and to start off our second half of this season with a race like that, it's going to be tough to beat from here, honestly, for the rest of the season. There's obviously still a lot of points to play for across the remaining rounds, but geez, will we see something that delivers such an exciting and surprising mix of results? I don't know that we will.
I think the rain had a lot to do with this one. It's, as long as we're not planning for another rain race on the schedule, I think this one might go down as the race of the season.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, bring it on. More rain is always something I love to see. It doesn't have to be torrential, right? You can see even from tonight, there was a nice, we probably had about 10 laps worth of showers. If you measure showers in laps, I suppose. But it was enough to get a bit of water on the track and to make drivers have to think about what line they were actually going to be taking and when to make the change from the slicks to the wets. And that little bit of extra strategy, even on what is, realistically a reasonably short race distance in terms of 25 laps, it really adds this whole other layer to it. So just a quick vote from my side, I think, at least to add a bit more water to the track here and there. Maybe it's not rained in the middle of the session. Maybe it's a bit of rain before the race start. I don't know, but the conditions definitely did challenge drivers here tonight. It's been a fantastic race. That does bring us, though, to the end of coverage for round 6 here at Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. It's once again delivered some pretty brilliant racing and exactly what we've come to expect, honestly, from the Tasman Racing League Road Series. A massive congrats to Chris Murray for his result tonight. Very, very well earned. And it does mean that we will see a very lively championship battle over the remaining rounds. Next week, of course, we head to Sandown Raceway. It's one that's close to the heart of so many Australian racing fans. It's a classic Aussie track. It's going to really test these drivers, and I am sure we'll have some pretty exciting moments there as well. The chances of rain look pretty slim compared to England, I reckon, Boone. But
I think that
it always.
I'm going to pop into road comms for a second and just round up our top 3 for interviews.
Why not? I'm wondering where they are.
Here we go. We just got Chris. I think they're sending them in right now, actually.
They're on their way.
Why we weren't doing interviews. Here we go.
They're on their way.
Looks
fantastic.
like everyone's all here. I think we're good to go.
I feel like we've missed a little bit of post-race conversation or something like that, but they'll bring us up to speed. Let's start with third place, Chris Fitzgerald from Send It Motorsport. Mate, a tough set of conditions out there, but you flew under the radar a fair bit, and in the end just held your position right from start to finish to come home in third. Well done.
Yeah, it was pretty tough when it got wet there. The cold tyres on that wet track was pretty sketchy, but a bit of fun. I kind of took it a bit easy when it first started to rain and just kind of made sure I sort of brought it home, and then at the end there, as it started to dry out, it kind of come good a bit and sort of chasing them down a bit. But no, good fun race, and kept it relatively clean.
So we're going to take a bit of a... go for it, Boone.
Yeah. Hey, Chris. So we saw on the last lap you were really reeling Matt in. You got very close to him. You were about 0.4 seconds off at one point. Could you just walk us through what happened on the last lap? We had a little bit of a contact there with one of the lapped cars. Just what happened there?
Yeah, I think he had a pretty big gap on me and sort of pulled him in a bit. I think lap traffic came into play a little bit there, but yeah, that last lap was sort of turning into a pretty good race, and just the lap car was sort of there and didn't really give way, and I think Matt sort of went to go the inside and backed out, and I sort of, by the time I could react, it just sort of clipped him, and it almost ended up with 3 cars in the sand there, but managed to bring him home.
Good job to keep it in third.
Basically, yeah.
Good result in the end, despite it all, and very strong finish, Chris. So hopefully a good opportunity for us to have another chat to you in the next couple of weeks as we start to head towards the end of the season. Congrats on tonight.
Hope so. Thank you.
Chris Fitzgerald takes third place. We go now to Matt Webber from TKR Dash Racing. Matt, you led the early stages of that race. Was it the pit strategy that brought you undone tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Dropped the ball deluxe there. When it ultimately came in 2 laps too soon. I don't even know why it happened. I just sort of reacted, and my strategy was to come in sort of 3 laps after the rain. I didn't even do that. So,
look, you know what? It's been a long week, so I'm with you on it. It's just a brain fart, if nothing else, right?
Yeah, like, if it stayed dry, then that Merc's pretty fast around there. I don't think not many things would have touched that, and arguably the Mustang's even quicker again. But when it comes to rain, I don't really have much experience around here in the rain, so I probably didn't do enough practice, for a wet race. Did a bit, but not overly heaped. So just had to sort of keep it on track, and I was happy with podium was going to be fine.
So we did speculate a little. Bert and I were just having a very brief bit of curiosity around whether you were maybe under-fueled a little bit and were having to do a little bit of fuel saving. Was it more just about keeping it on track and keeping it alive than anything else, by the sound of things?
Yeah, it was just safety management, really. I thought if I could just, keep it on track, wait for potentially other incidents to happen in front of me and behind me and stay out of trouble, then, P2, P3, Chris was just running a great race there in the end, so I probably wasn't going to get near him, but I just managed, so I'm happy with the result, and congrats to Chris.
Yeah, mate. Look, it's it's not the win that I'm sure you're after, but can't argue with second place in those sort of conditions, and certainly some good points towards your championship total, which we'll get an update on at the start of next week's round, of course. Matt, congrats on P2, a very solid and smooth drive all the same.
Thank you. Just a quick shout out to TKR Dash Racing and Land of Flight Foods and Maxie getting his suit for his formal, looking dapper.
Oh, nice. It's that time of year, isn't it?
It is.
Good stuff. Great to chat to you as always, Matt. Thanks for dropping by.
Cheers, thanks, guys.
Put much practice in wet conditions, or is it just kind of shot tonight and see how it goes?
A bit of both. So I did the Monday and Tuesday night practice sessions with the league. And then I think I did probably a little bit of practice just before the race as well. But yeah, that was about it. Just went, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it turns out.
And talk us through, obviously you nailed the pit strategy from our perspective. Matt obviously not quite as happy with his. Was that the intent, or was it just a case of, saw an opportunity to keep pushing, you still felt good on the dry tyres?
Yeah, look, I was second guessing myself when I saw Matt go in, but I was like, the only way I'm going to beat him is take a risk, and hopefully it pulls off, because he is very quick. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't follow him in. Worked out well in the end.
Well, mate, that's what racing's all about. At the end of the day, you've got to take those risks, and sometimes they'll pay off, sometimes they won't. Tonight, paying off in spades for you. Before we let you go, anyone you want to say hello to at home or give a shout out to?
Not this week, but yeah, again, thank you for hosting, and Matt, thank you for the competition. It's been really fun this league.
Mate, great racing a week in and week out. Congratulations on the result tonight. A very solid haul of points coming your way from Silverstone.
Thank you very much.
Chris Murray there takes the win in round 6 here. We've got still 4 rounds to go. I was having some issues early in the week counting, but I've got to be honest, I've told a few people out there that round 6 meant 3 rounds to go in a 10-round series, so I'm not going to make the same mistake tonight. It's getting to that time of year, though, isn't it? It's getting into November. We're coming towards the end of the year, and for a lot of leagues out there, it is coming towards the end of a season. There's still so much left to play for here, though.
There's battles up and down the order. Nothing is decided at this point in the season, but it's starting to get to the point where every race starts to mean a little bit more. Drivers are going to be a little bit more conscious every lap they run of where they are in the championship standings, what moves they have to make, and I think we're going to see everyone just get a little bit more aggressive each race as we get towards the conclusion.
Absolutely agreed, and I, for one, cannot wait to see it. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to bring this to you at home, folks. Thank you so much for coming along with us for another round of the Tasman Racing League Road Series. You've been watching it here live on Simple Racing Broadcast. A massive thank you for joining us. And from everyone here, we will see you next time. Goodbye for now.